No, good Saturday morning to everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner as we get set. Yeah, Hunter, don't sit in front of that camera. We'll get you on there later, okay? As Hunter Wilson having his breakfast and taking a seat here, and so we'll get him all straightened away so they don't sit in front of the camera. Of course, you know this show taped and shown on KCC TV, also can be found on YouTube. So don't forget about that as we get ready here this morning. And the Bronco football team in a game heard on K104 and RJBroadcasting.com got the season. They got their first game with the Moose Lake Willow River Rebels in 13 seasons. Same thing we got to say last week as the Broncos took on Aiken last week. And the Falls started off the game with 5 offensive starters not in the lineup from last week. Matter of fact, they only had 3 kids starting in the same position offensively as they did last week. The injury bug has just absolutely hit this team more like a mash unit. I know people don't want to hear excuses about this, that, and the other thing, but there were kids last night that had never seen varsity action. They had to step up and they had to do some things, and I think they held pretty good for themselves, along with they also had 4 defensive starters not on their side of the ball last night. And the Rebels did score 5 times in the first 16 minutes of the game to build a 36-0 lead. If you were listening last night, you probably got tired of us talking about Colton Little. He absolutely had a ginormous game. He scored 4 touchdowns on runs of 62, 11, and 74. He also had a touchdown reception of 65 yards. The score was 36-0 at the half. Moose Lake Willow River did add on a touchdown in the middle of the third, with a minute left in the third quarter to go up by a score of 42-0, and that is where things ended at. And the Broncos did total 111 yards on offense, 90 of that through rushing on 47 carries, 21 yards passing on 1 for 6 passing with new quarterback Garrett Koenig. Taylor Wilson out for the season with a broken foot. So Koenig stepped in and I thought ran the ball very, very well. Maybe didn't complete as many passes as he would have liked to, but I think things will improve as we go into next week. The Broncos do travel to Coleraine to face GNK next Friday. The Little Fork Big Falls Vikings were in McGregor for the first time since 2010, and the Vikings trailed 44-6 at half and lost by a final score of 56-22. I don't have any other details on the game on who scored those touchdowns other than that information. The Rainy River Community College volleyball team got their home, had a home match last night against Northern Division rival Itasca. The Voyagers beat the Vikings a couple of weeks ago out in North Dakota, out in Fergus Falls, in a tournament out there in a great match, if I remember, in 5 sets. This one last night goes 5 sets. Itasca gets the better of this one as they win 25-18, 25-20. The Voyagers come back, take sets 3 and 4, 25-23 and 25-21, and then Itasca wins the 5th set, the tiebreaker there, 15-7. Sandy Thompson, 15 kills, 15 digs for her. Allison Satchery had 27 digs in the back row. Carly Phillips, the setter, 30 set assists to go along with 14 digs. The Broncos' own Clara Palm had 17 digs, and Chelsea Cabate had 10 kills for the Voyagers last night in that Northern Division loss. The high school football games from last night from around the area, we'll just start at the top of the list and we'll work our way through from big schools to small schools. Cloquet comes up with a 42-7 win in Hibbing. Everybody might look at that score and say, well, Cloquet did what they did. It was 12-7 at half, folks. And Cloquet, I think, got a little bit of a scare in the first half. Maybe didn't have their head screwed on quite straight. Hermantown, I'm very shocked at this score, just 13-12 over Duluth Denfeld. North Branch, Duluth East, wow. A scoring fest, 66-45 in favor of North Branch, and Proctor beats Grand Rapids 9-0 in a fog bowl. It was a game that was on TV last night on My 9. They really didn't get a chance to show much. I did talk to our old friend Sheldon Slaybaugh, who broadcast the game. He said there were most plays that he could not actually see where the football was at on the field. That's how thick the fog was in Proctor last night. They beat Grand Rapids 9-0. Esco trailed Greenway Nashua Keewatin for most of the game. They get a late touchdown. They win 7-6. Evelyn Gilbert, and maybe the shock of the night, takes down Mora 12-0. Two Harbors 21-13 over Pine City. Two Harbors Barbers looked very, very strong the first couple of games of the year. Have not looked so strong the last couple of games, but they are 3-1 on the season. They do come to town for the first Friday in October. Virginia and Aiken, two teams that the Broncos have played earlier this season. Virginia wins 6-0. Don't see many shutouts anymore in high school football, and especially a 6-0 shutout. Last night in Section 7 2A, Barnum 30-8 over East Central. Braham 32-0 over Hinckley Finlayson. Deer River 14-2 over Mesabi East, and Rush City got the better of Chisholm 40-14. In nine-man football, Cromwell 60-16 over Ogilvie. McGregor, as I mentioned, 56-22 over Little Fork Big Falls. Renshaw 72, Onamia 0. Cook County continues their mastery of the season. They're up 62-0 over Northeast Range. 76-0 Ely over Lake of the Woods. Northwoods 42-0 over Silver Bay in those big shutout games in nine-man football. Did not get a score on Big Fork at Hill City. I think it was 14-8. I forgot to write it down. And maybe the other upset of the night for me, Floodwood takes down Kelliher and Northholm by a score of 12-8. The Minnesota Twins had their 3-game winning streak broken last night as they dropped a 4-3 decision to the Toronto Blue Jays. Minnesota scored single runs in the third and fourth to build a 2-0 lead. Got another run in the fifth to rebuild their lead up to 3-1. But the Blue Jays scored 1 in the sixth, 2 in the seventh, and they win by a score of 4-3. Brian Dozier did hit his 31st home run amongst his 2 hits. Byron Buxton also had a pair of hits for the Minnesota Twins. Mahea comes off the IR as he will get the start for the Twins against Toronto. Pre-game at 5:30, first pitch at 6:10. On your home for Minnesota Twins baseball, K104. The Minnesota Gopher volleyball team, number 1 ranked again in the nation this week. They got 2 wins out at the Boise State tournament last night. They downed Oregon State earlier in the day and then got the better of the home team, Boise State, in 5 sets to improve to 10-0 on the season. They have another match against Idaho State, today before starting the Big Ten season next Friday at home against Michigan. What's going on locally today? Well, the Bronco girls swimming and diving team is in Hibbing for an invitational. The divers are just getting started right now. It's set to start at 9 a.m. The swimmers ready to go at 1 o'clock. The Little Fork Big Falls Vikings volleyball team is down at CI for a tournament, all-day tournament. I did notice that they play Fergus Falls, I believe, at 10 o'clock, and I'm sure they'll be playing 4 matches today. So that's what's going on locally. Of course, college football, the Gopher football team looking to improve to 3-0. They take on Middle Tennessee State. If that name rings a bell, yeah, that same Middle Tennessee State was the team that knocked out the Gophers in the NCAA basketball tournament last March. Remember the 12 seed beating the 5 seed? That's Middle Tennessee State. I'm sure the Gopher football team is maybe going to be looking out for a little revenge and understanding that those little schools do have some pretty good athletes. More locally, UMD is at home against Mankato at 6 o'clock. Ought to be an interesting game there with the weather and everything going on. Bemidji State's at Augustana at 1 o'clock. St. Cloud State is at Concordia St. Paul at 6 o'clock. North Dakota State, the Bison are off this week. UND is taking on South Dakota in a bragging rights game. That game is at 2 o'clock. Top 25 matchups in major college football this week. There's just 2 of them. Number 22, Tennessee, and number 24, Florida. And then the big game tonight that ESPN and everybody's looking forward to. Number 3, Clemson, is at number 14, Louisville. Minnesota United in the MLS is in Montreal for a 6:30 matchup there up in Canada. Of course, tomorrow the Twins will wrap up their series with Toronto with a 1:10 game that can be heard on K104. On KGHS 12:30 a.m. because the Vikings will be on K104. Their pregame starts at 11 and they take on the I'm going to say it this way so that my brother, in case he's listening, the hated Steelers. He's a big Steelers fan, and I'm sure there'll be some text and whatever going back and forth tomorrow as the Vikings take on the Steelers at noon. And the Minnesota Lynx tomorrow afternoon, they look to wrap up their best of 5 game series with the Washington Mystics. This game will be on the road in Washington. That game starts at 2 o'clock Central Time. Our former Broncos this week, Sydney Raboyne with the UND cross-country team. She's out in Bozeman, Montana. Taylor Hebner with the UND cross-country team. She's down at St. Olaf, along with Lexi Erickson, who is running for St. Catharines. Brady Wright Golfing for Crookston, they had a tournament this week on Monday and Tuesday in Bemidji. Brady shot an 84 and an 89 in the 2 days as his team finished eighth in that tournament. Brandon Bears and the Morris football team lost to Westminster College last week. They take on Eureka College today at noon. Maddie Filipiak had a big week last Saturday in a pair of matches. She had 3 kills. And then Bemidji State opened the NSIC conference schedule on Thursday night at St. Cloud. They lost in 4 matches, but Maddie Filipiak had a big night there. She had 8 kills to go along with 7 blocks. They host UMD at 3 o'clock today. Isabella Edisted and Clara Palm with the Rainy River volleyball team. They had a matchup on Wednesday night. In that game, Bella Edisted had a kill and a couple of blocks. And Clara Palm did a very good job in the back row. She had 6 digs and did a better job serving as she was 14 out of 15. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk to, I'm not sure how many chairs I'm going to need, but I'm going to need a ton of them, I think, as we are going to talk Bronco cross-country running. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, joined by members of the Bronco cross-country teams, 5 guys and Avery Savone. And you must have drawn the short straw this morning out of the girls. As joining me from the boys is Joe Glowak, John Coleman, Hunter Wilson, Jake Erickson, Justin Besch, and this by far will be my biggest interview ever, guys. Congratulations for making the record books, first of all. And Joe, you're in the first chair, so you get to talk first. It's been a very successful start for the boys. A couple of wins as a team, and also a second place on Thursday. What is it? I guess I've been talking to Coach Jelly, who's manning the camera. I've been talking to him about years about this boys team. Is it finally starting to come together?
Yeah, I think so. Finally putting the pieces together here. It's fun running with the pack. You know, we're all pretty tight. It's pretty competitive, and it's definitely fun to win a couple meets.
You guys didn't get any trophies for the 2 wins, but you guys got a trophy for second place the other day. Is this true?
Yep, that's true. Well, we did get medals at War Road.
Okay. Well,
they didn't want to recognize us, I guess.
Yeah, because it was from, you guys were from International Falls. Anybody else would have gotten a trophy, right?
Yep.
There you go. John, is this running in a pack thing? We've talked about this for years with the Broncos. Is this just a Bronco thing, or do other teams also try to run in a pack and keep everybody kind of close together?
I don't know. I've seen a couple of other teams do it. I know Ely definitely tries to run in the pack, at least in the beginning of the race. I saw the North Shore team that won it at Eveleth. They were doing it a little bit with their top 2 guys running together to win the race. But, I mean, besides that, it's pretty spread out usually.
Hunter Wilson, is it very competitive amongst the 5 of you guys? Because through the first 5 races, I really can't say that this person's always the first Bronco across, or this guy's always. It seems like it's a mixture. Is it a good competition between you guys to see who's going to be leading the pack and who's going to be second as you guys come across the finish line?
Yeah, it's a pretty good competition between us. There's always somebody who's out in front, somebody who's right next to them, and somebody who's catching up to everybody. Everybody's going back and forth. It's really, in chance, it's always a chase the rabbit game in between the whole team itself. So a lot of friendly competition within it.
Jake, how is it making, maybe this is a tough question, how is it making this group of 5 and the guys that are 6 and 7, how is it making this Bronco team a better team as they progress towards the section meet coming up in October?
I don't know. Everything's a battle, so if we just keep working harder, we can, I don't know.
We can make things happen, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Does it get competitive on practice days between you guys? I know you guys are supposed to go out and, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it this way, Coach. They're supposed to go out and run their miles, but we know that they're stopping to have coffee at the espresso lane, or they're stopping over at the Metro Coffee. They're going to stop and they're going to get a muffin, and then they don't. I'm just kidding, guys. When you guys are out there running, Justin, it's something where you guys are working together, and you know that all that work is going to pay off on meet day.
Yeah, it's good when we run together at practice because somebody else will want to go faster, so then everybody wants to stick it with them. So then everybody pushes it harder to stay faster pace.
Avery Savonin, I'm going to get you in here so you don't feel left out over here with the guys talking. No, you don't want to talk? Please. I've had you in class now 2 separate years. I know you're always yapping. So you're the leader of the girls' team now. Is it a good pressure? Is it a bad pressure? How does it feel like to be that number one runner for the Bronco girls cross country team?
Well, it's definitely difficult coming after Lexi, that's for sure.
I was thinking about this all week. LAL, life after Lexi, right? I mean,
yeah.
It is.
It's hard.
It's hard. There are those expectations, but do you really think about it often that, you know, Lexi had this great legacy of running? Do you think about that you're trying to fit into that role, or do you just go out and try to do what you do?
Well, I obviously know that I don't have the same ability as Lexi, so, like, I'm not going to be as fast as her, but I try and do my best to lead the girls and just keep doing better. I've
noticed through the first 3 meets that we don't have a varsity team together. We've only had a few girls running. Is that something? And Coach Jelly, he decided to man the camera, so I couldn't ask him these tough questions. So I'm going to ask you the tough question. Has he got a plan in place with these girls running the junior high races, and then he's slowly but surely going to sneak them in and start doing things and start building for a team towards the section meet?
Well, I can't read his mind, but I mean...
You haven't figured him out yet?
From what I can tell, we're going to try and get the junior high girls up to varsity eventually, some of them, just so we have at least enough for a team. Because right now we have 3, but one of them actually had to go to the chiropractor, so we only had 2 on.
I saw that on Thursday, a little tough at Eveleth. And so Rachel Anderson and Melissa Shulquist, who are maybe some of the younger girls that you think are going to be coming up later on in the season to fill out a varsity roster?
Ryan Ford, she for sure, I think she's going to move up. And probably Summer Hessendal.
Okay. Go ahead.
And Ellen Windles.
And Coach, anybody else you want to add to that list? He's running the camera. He's busy back over there. Joe, talk a little bit about the guys that come after. Maybe these have been the top 5 through the first 3 races. Talk about 6, 7, 8, the guys that are pushing and looking to try to jump into this top 5 and maybe make this team even better.
Tanner Wood's been our 6th runner. He's been the only guy for sure in a for sure role. He's been 6 every meet. So we know he's always going to be there pushing us. So you can't take a day off. Because once you take that day off, that's when they hop ahead of you. And then we got Derek Talmadge, King Gonzalez, Braden Dremel. Been battling for that 7-8 spot.
So it's a good competition. John, we talked a little. Oh, wait, no, Justin, you can hang. We could have kept it right down there. John, let's talk about the competition, the teams that are out there that you guys are going to be vying against as teams coming up over the next couple of weeks. On Thursday down at Eveleth Gilbert, North Shore comes in with a score of 64. You guys come in with a score of 85. GNK, probably one of the big teams out there that they weren't there. They were actually running down in Little Falls. So I think I picked up 2 of the teams that are maybe out there that you guys are shooting for, because top 2 make it to the state meet. Who else out there are teams that you're keeping an eye on, saying we got to be here, we got to get above these guys, and they'll give us a good shot come the end of October?
Well, North Shore will definitely be a team that we'll be competing against. We were pretty close to them the last meet at Eveleth here. They just got a couple guys in the top, a couple spots, which made it harder for us to compete. But they'll definitely be a team we'll be competing against at the section meet. Ely is going to be a big one. We happen to come ahead of them by 20-some points or whatever this last meet, but they're going to be competing come section time. And the same thing, Greenway is going to be really tough. They got a lot of good runners this year.
So somebody threw out the team of Moose Lake Willow River, also maybe a team out there. I was talking to somebody last night. Is that a team that you guys also have an eye on, John, as things go along?
I think they might be. I don't know if they have as much depth as those other 3 right now, but they're definitely going to be competition too.
Hunter, you guys got a chance to run at Eveleth Thursday. I want to talk a little bit about that because, I've had a chance to golf at Eveleth a couple times, and it's a little hilly.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the hills at Eveleth?
To an extent, I do. It just happened to be really humid on Thursday, and it was really hot. And using the hills, you can use them to your advantages to pass other guys up and get above them on the hill and use them. You can demoralize their team by going surging past them. So.
Prefer the flat courses that you ran in War Road and Roseville the first couple of meets?
I prefer them. I would prefer flat courses, but I like the hill courses, especially our home meet, the Heil Pike. It's got a few hills, and you got to learn to like the hills in order to beat the hills. So you got to learn to live with them.
Jake, how about you? Would you prefer the hills, or would you like to see those nice flatter courses?
I think the flat ones are probably easier, but Evelyn is such a tough course, especially yesterday. It was real humid and hot. But I think the flat courses are better. Justin, where's the favorite place to go run? You've been doing this now for a while. Where do you like to run? What's the favorite place to go?
I don't know really. I like a lot of them. The only one I really don't like is Evelyn, but I like all of them. I'll run it. I like hills a little bit, not too much. But flat courses are okay too.
Joey, is Coach making you go to the Swain? Is he taking you guys down there this year?
Yeah, homecoming's not on the Swain this year, so we're going to take a trip to Swain, and that's a good one.
He's been coaching cross country for a lot of years, and I've been trying to solve the puzzle that is Paul Jelly, and I can never make the right guess. Is he going to Swain? So really, it doesn't. If I know when homecoming is, then I'll know whether we're going to the Swain or not. That's the key. Well, we can go home right now. I've learned everything I need to learn this morning. I figured out the reason why or why not we don't go to the Swain. Joe, I'll let you talk about the courses. You like flat? Is there a favorite out there for you, Joe?
Yeah, everyone likes flat, but if you're good on the hilly courses, that's when you excel past the other teams because everyone likes flat. And if you go out there and you battle with the hills, then you'll be successful.
How about for the girls, Avery? What you prefer the flat course? Go ahead. I'm going to let you answer, and then I'm going to bring up a course. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do prefer the flat courses. I mean, the hills do push you a lot, and it's interesting to see who can step it up in the hills because obviously it's easy for everyone on the flat courses, but not everyone can take the hills. So if you're good on the hills, then you can be definitely at an advantage.
It seemed last year when we had the cross-country teams on, something registers in my mind that a lot of people said that they like running at Ely. Is Ely one of those courses that you guys all talked about running on flat, that flat is the place to be, and Ely has some hills, I'm told. I've never been to the Ely golf course, but is it something, John, you're shaking your head that's a good place to be? What is it? What is it about that course, John, that makes things easier or fun or better?
Well, I'll tell you, it definitely isn't easier. I mean, Ely actually has more hills than Evelyn. They're just longer. It's a slower climb.
Okay.
But I mean, I personally, I like the hilly courses there. I can compete more on those ones. But I don't know. Ely is just fun. It's a little bit smaller meet. You can get medals for the participation, I think, for both JV and varsity.
So that makes you try a little bit harder, maybe, because you get to bring home some hardware and show the family, right?
Yeah, and then, I mean, right at the finish, too, you're running downhill to the finish line, and it's a big open space, so everyone's all there watching you, cheering you on, too, so that makes it a little more fun to finish.
Makes it very interesting. Let's talk a little bit about the home meet. Justin, seems like you've got the microphone on the far end. We'll work back towards Hunter. Talk about the joys of getting to run at home at the Heil Pike, because you only get to do it once a season. Talk a little bit about running out at the golf course here in town.
Yeah, that'll be a pretty good meet this year. It's probably one of the biggest because this is the 50th annual Heil Pike.
He's done his homework. I like that. That's nice. Keep going.
So yeah, that's more of a flatter course, I would say, but there's a good hill on that course. But I think we'll do pretty good at it.
Okay, Jake, here comes another hard question, because I give all the Ericksons the hard questions. What can this team do? Give it to me straight. Where can this team get to? If everybody runs their best, if everybody comes out and has their bestest day, where can this team get to?
I don't know. It's going to be really interesting at sections this year. I think it's going to be a real battle. Everything's a battle this year between us and the team and other teams. We're so close. I don't know. It's just going to be real fun. And
he does not want to make a prediction, Coach. You've got him that he will not do that because then, because things are going to happen as you go along. Hunter, you get the last word here. What's the one thing that everybody needs to know about the Bronco Boys cross country team? Something that you guys do, ritual. You guys got, everybody's got to tie their bootlace their skate with the right one first or whatever. What do cross country runners do for psyche, for mental, to make things happen so that good luck happens to the Bronco Boys cross country team?
Well, I don't know. We definitely, every time before our races, we do a little stride out a long ways, and then we all do a huddle in a circle, and somebody gives some sort of speech, and then we yell the Peebish chant, and we do that for a little bit, and then we all sprint back.
I like that. We got to get the girls now, Avery. I got give her the microphone. What do the girls do? I'm sure it can't be the same as the guys because they're guys and it doesn't work out that way.
No. Well, what we've been trying to do is they showed us this spotlight drill at camp. So we've been trying to do that before each race, which is pretty much we have a bunch of names and we put it in a hat and we draw someone's name, and they're like the spotlight person, and you just have to say like one positive thing about them before like they run or whatever. And then the other thing we do is before every race we'll huddle up like right before, a couple minutes, before it starts, and Rachel Anderson will pray for us.
I like it. Guys and gals, thanks for coming in this morning. I hope everything goes as well as planned coming up the next week. I know you guys will enjoy the Swain, and of course we'll see you guys at the Heil Pike coming up on Tuesday, October 10th. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with the Falls High Bowling team. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. I forgot to thank individually each of the kids from the cross-country team that were here, so I'm just going to go down the list and see if I had them. We had Joe Glowak, Avery Savonin. We had John Coleman, Hunter Wilson, Jake Erickson, and we had Justin Besch as I go down the line. Thanks to all of them for coming in. And now we're going to talk to the bowling team. Sammy, the four Maxwell here with me, Owen Amundsen, Nick Tanner. Guys, we were talking in the break here about the bowling season. I've been on Coach Barry. Help me out, Mike Miller. Holy smokes, went for a brain snap there. Barry Miller. I've been texting back and forth with him for about 3 weeks. You got the schedule? Couple of days. Got the schedule? Couple of days. Sammy, you said there's a schedule in place, and you've got it right here in your brain. So I want the first thing I want to know: what's the bowling schedule? Well, go ahead.
We're looking at our first meet on October 7th as of right now. We're not 100% sure if we get more teams that could be moved up 1 week, or if we get 2 more teams that'll be moved up 2 weeks. But our home meet is set in stone October 21st.
Okay.
Most likely noon.
Most likely noon, okay. So what other teams do we know for sure we think have teams?
Grand Rapids will have a team. Hibbing will have a team. And I do believe Deer River and Greenway will be merging.
Aha. So they're going to possibly put a team together. So that's why, and also Ely, somebody mentioned possibly having a team. Owen, this is I think by this time last year you guys had already had a meet or two. Is it frustrating to kind of be waiting? I know you guys have been practicing for a while, but is it getting frustrating just practicing?
Not really. We get to see what we need to fix with the team. What people know they can be doing better. And if they know it, then that means we are able to help them. So the more time we have to be able to do that, the better our team will be going into the season.
Is there competition at practice, Nick? I was just talking with the cross-country team about competition amongst the kids during practice and the meets. You guys haven't had any meets yet, any competitions. Does it get competitive during the practices that you have during the week?
Yeah, it gets really competitive, especially between us three, since all being the oldest, I guess, and the more experienced bowlers. But definitely between the younger kids, too. They all get really competitive, trying to one-up each other.
And when you say you're one-upping each other, I assume that you're talking about strikes versus spares, or do we work on the trick shots? Do we work on any of that? I mean, every practice, every team has a fun time where the coaches try to loosen up practice. Do you guys have anything like that during bowling practice? Do you guys kind of bowl between the legs, or maybe bowl the wrong hand? If you're right-handed, you bowl left-handed. You guys do any of that kind of stuff?
Oh, we have a drill we called Bad Spare Challenge, and the first guy throws a ball and tries to leave the worst, ugliest, hardest to pick up spare he possibly can, and the second guy has to go pick it up.
Usually a split.
Usually a split.
There's been a couple depressing moments in that challenge.
Like?
Well, for one, last year I left Nick the 5-7-10, which is the pin right in the middle, and the 2 corners on the back. And that one's virtually impossible to pick up.
It's harder than the 7-10? Or
no?
No?
It's up there though.
Yeah.
It's up there. Okay. So in other words, what I'm hearing you guys say, Owen, is that you guys are practicing bad throws to try to make it tough. You guys don't really practice those. You guys just move over a board or something, or do something a little bit different to try to get those spares.
Well, from Barry's words, is that we're trying to feel how it would be to be them to try and pick it up.
That makes sense, I guess.
Looking through the first ball as the other person.
Okay. Who's the competition out there this year, Nick? As a team, what's we talked about Grand Rapids and Hibbing and maybe Greenway and Deer River getting together. Who's going to be the toughest team that you guys face? Because, well, let's be honest, you guys had a very successful 2016 season. You guys did very, very well in the league, and you guys are kind of the hunted now, right?
Yeah. Last year, definitely the toughest team for us was probably Hibbing. They really the only people that gave us a challenge. Greenway and them beat us once, really took care of them the next couple weeks. Grand Rapids wasn't an issue, so I feel it's probably going to end up being the same thing this year.
Okay.
Hibbing retained most of their bowlers, while Greenway, I think 3 of their bowlers graduated, and that's going to really hurt their team, I think.
Talk a little bit about the format again, in case people aren't familiar with it. I mean, you go watch a football game, it's there, everybody kind of knows how it works. Explain how the bowling, when you guys go bowl against a team, Sammy, kind of explain to it how it works and how things progress through a match against Greenway or Hibbing or however that works.
So from the roster, the coaches will select 5 bowlers, and each bowler will bowl 2 frames in the game. The first bowler will bowl the first frame and the 6th frame. Second bowler will bowl the 2nd and 7th, and so on.
Sure.
So you want to place your power guys in the 4th and 5th frames, so they end up in the 9th and 10th, so they can have a strong finish.
And of course, it's still important to be that 1st and 6th frame because you want to get the strike. You don't want to leave an open frame along the way.
Absolutely.
So how long does it take when you guys, because all the teams get together. I mean, all the teams are there. You guys don't just go bowl against Greenway on a Saturday. All the teams are there, correct? So how long does it, roll 10 frames, I mean, only takes probably, 25 minutes, half hour or so? So it does go on for quite a while because you're bowling against 3 or 4 other teams. Does it get tired by the end, Owen? I mean, you bowled 2 frames, but you kind of got to stay in the zone. Maybe it's tougher mentally than it is physically?
Well, it's not just one game. It's a best of 5, so if you win 3, you still have to play the other 2.
Okay.
So if you're still in all those games, you're basically rolling 10 frames, which is one game.
Sure.
And if you do that about 4 times, that's about 4 games. That gets really tiring on your shoulder. So I guess it's a lot of strain, but if you're doing it well,
it should
justify the means.
If you guys, and I'm sure you guys did this a lot last year, you won the first 3 matches, the way to describe it. So those last 2, when you guys are just playing because you still need to play, do you kind of focus, Nick, now on maybe working on things more than, say, if it was 2-1 or something going into that 4th or 5th match? Do you kind of change it up and work on things, or do you just kind of try to stay the course and keep doing what you're doing?
At that point, yeah, we probably try to figure out if our ball's reacting a little differently, try to find a different line. But if, we still have the same line, yeah, we're still going to try to bowl well and keep powering through it.
Let's talk about, Sammy, we were talking the other day in class, we were talking about the fact that you thought you guys might have enough kids to have 2 bowling teams? Is who's coming up? Who are these younger kids, or maybe they're older kids in bowling for the first time? Who are some of these other kids besides the three we have sitting here that are part of this Bronco bowling team?
Well, the veterans we have from last year, we have Will Peterson, Owen Worley, Logan Koval, Jade Barron. Is that it from last year, guys?
I do believe Trevor Bellinger did leave us.
Yeah, last year he quit before the state tournament.
Okay.
And we have some new bowlers this year. Awesome turnout this year. We have a bunch of new bowlers. We have Melody Rule, Brianna Hannenberg, Kevin Joslin.
I believe Christian Huffnagel.
Christian Huffnagel.
Okay. So, is it a possibility in order to make this league fuller, more competitive, whatever? Is it something that the Falls might think about having two teams and say,
Barry definitely talked about that.
Talk about that is obviously you'd keep the top guys, the top five together, but would you at times possibly would you think coach might mix those things up and see what happens and maybe put in some of those younger bowlers to see how they react by bowling with the big dogs bowling?
Oh yeah. If someone's not bowling hot, Barry will not hesitate to try to switch them out.
Is that a good thing that he's keeping the pressure on you guys so you guys don't get comfortable?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Is it? Everybody has bad days. Would you think, Nick, that it's tough for the coach to make that decision? Because I would guess in bowling, you're off by that much when you hit that pin, that number one pin, you're off by that much. Things kind of go away. Is that something that makes it more stressful for you as a bowler, for the coaches to think that, hey, somebody might be trying to take my spot, or is that a good thing to keep you focused in during the matches?
No, it's definitely a good thing to know that you want to bowl well and try to keep your spot. And yeah, if you are bowling bad, you want to get switched out to let the other guys have a turn, and also to have the team to have a better bowler during that position.
Goals for this team, Sammy, for this season? Where after all the success from last year, what are the goals for this team? Is that something you guys have sat down and discussed and said this is where we want to be come November/December?
Absolutely. We've discussed this at practice. We want to be at 80% fills, which is pretty hopeful, I'd say, but it's very achievable with the team we have this year. And we totally want to get to the state tournament again. We want to win the conference championships, and we'd like to improve our record from last year. We were 10-2 last year in our matches, and we'd like to go undefeated.
Like to get that little number littler, like to the goose egg.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Owen, as far as goals for this team, or maybe something that you're shooting for individually?
I definitely would like to see in the all-conference is the top 8 bowlers.
Okay.
I'm definitely confident that our team alone has the top 8 bowlers on it. So
that's good pressure. How about for you, Nick? Very successful season last year. Where have you set your goals going into 2017?
Just trying to top my stats from last year, really. Trying to improve.
And as long as you bring that up, is it more the final score that you have after the 10 frames, or is it more maybe we talk about picking up the spares straight? Is there a stat out there that you're kind of focusing on, saying, I'd really like to see this one go up, or is it just the total score at the end that really kind of drives things?
You really want to see your fill percentage go up. That's what's going to make your score. If you don't make your spares, you're not going to score well. And so,
just like in golf, if you don't putt well, you're done, right, Sammy?
Absolutely.
You can drive for show, but you putt for dough, right? That's where things are won. Guys, thanks for coming in on this rainy Saturday morning. Best of luck. Get me that final schedule, Sammy. I'm putting the pressure on you now. When it comes out, make sure you bring it to me when you come to class one day.
You'll know as soon as I know.
Sammy Maxwell, Oren Amundsen, Nick Tanner joining me here this morning. We'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll wrap it up from Hardy's. You're listening to Coach's Corner on K104 and online at rjbroadcasting.com. Back at Coach's Corner here at Hardy's for our final segment. Of course, as we do every week in our last segment, we talk about the week that was, and we're talking about the week that is coming up. And let's start with last Saturday. The Rainy River volleyball team, was down in the cities at Anoka Ramsey for a day-long tournament. 3 matches. They did defeat Anoka Ramsey 25-18, 25-18, 25-18. Very consistent. Sandy Thompson had 7 kills and 11 digs. Kayla Klofstad had 6 ace serves. Clara Palm and Allison Satri each had 10 digs. Carly Phillips dished out 20 assists. The Voyagers did lose to Dakota County 3-1 and to Bethel JV 3-0. No action on Sunday. On Monday, the Rainy River volleyball team got a nice honor as Allison Satri was named Defensive Player of the Week in the Northern Division, as we talked about that scoreline against those 3 teams in the cities and also the win against Fond du Lac earlier in the week. Satri is a freshman from Grigla, Minnesota. Also on Monday, the Broncos were at home against the Ely Timberwolves. They took the match in 3 sets, 25-19, 25-22, 25-18. Bianca Carlson, 23 set assists, 15 digs, 7 kills, 2 ace serves, just a monster night for Bianca Carlson. Jenna Sullivan, another big night for her as well, 15 kills and 2 blocks. Emma Gilbert, 4 kills, 5 blocks for her. The Little Fork Big Falls Vikings volleyball team dropped the first of many matches that they are playing this week, that they have played this week, as they lost to Lake of the Woods 3-0. Set scores there, 25-18, 25-9, 25-16. Danica Clemenson and Danielle Pekarski each had 3 blocks. Mackenzie Swenson had 11 digs. The Bronco cross-country teams were out in War Road as on Monday, and the boys got another win with 38 points to outdistance East Grand Forks with 50 points. They improved their score over East Grand Forks from the week before by a couple of points. Individually, Jake Erickson 5th, Hunter Wilson 7th, John Kalman 8th, Justin Besch 11th, and Joe Glowath 12th, as that team who we just talked to did so very, very well. The girls only had 3 girls run the varsity, as Avery Savonin took 20th, Rachel Anderson 33rd, and Melissa Shoquist took 34th. On Tuesday, the Bronco girls swimming and diving team was in Chisholm. They won 66-28. There was no diving taking place at Chisholm, so in 11 events, the Broncos took 10 first places. The 160 medley relay of Lindsay Lucy, Whitney Gwynn, Amelia Stewart, and Taylor Sears, they won that. The 160 free relay of Emma Erickson, Lindsay Lucy, Taylor Sears, and Amelia Stewart won that. The 400 relay of Caitlin Kelstead, Haven Pellin, Taylor Sears, and Lindsay Lucy won that. In individual races, Morgan Henland won the 200 free. Amelia Stewart won in the 160 IM and the 100 free. Emma Erickson, a 2 double winner there in the 60 free and the 100 breaststroke. Lindsay Lucy in the 100 butterfly, and Macy Marcotte in the 100 backstroke. On Tuesday, also, the Little Fork Big Falls Vikings volleyball team went to Babbitt. They lose to Northeast Range, in 4 sets. Danica Clemenson, 15 set assists. Emily Franz had 5 kills, 3 ace serves. Danielle Pekarski, 6 kills to go along with 5 blocks. On Wednesday, the Rainy River volleyball team went on the road to Hibbing. They lose in 4 sets. Sandy Thompson, a huge night, 14 kills, 14 digs, 2 blocks. Carly Phillips led the offense with 26 set assists, 16 digs, and 8 kills from the center position. On Thursday, the Bronco cross-country teams were in Eveleth for a 15-team meet. After 2 first-place finishes by the Broncos in their first 2 meets, the boys came in second behind North Shore. The Storm had 64 points, the Broncos 85, Ely had 96. John Kalman 12th, Jake Erickson 13th, and Hunter Wilson 15th to pace the Broncos. Avery Savonin was 17th for the girls. The LBF volleyball team had their 3rd match in 4 days. They were on the road at Northwoods. The Vikings fell in 3 sets. Danielle Pekarski had 6 kills. Kenzie Swenson had 5 kills and 2 blocks. The Bronco volleyball team was down in Virginia on Thursday to face their rivals there, and the Falls lost for just the 3rd time this season. Very tight first 2 sets, 25-23, 26-24 in the second, and 25-18 in the third set. Virginia sweeps out the Broncos. Jenna Sullivan had 9 kills and 4 blocks. Tennyson Omdahl, 8 digs, 4 kills, and a block. Of course, last night, the International Falls Bronco football team lost by a final score of 42-0 to Moose Lake Willow River. The Vikings football team from LBF, they lose to McGregor 56-22, and the Rainy River volleyball team lost in 5 sets at home to Itasca. what's going on today. The girls swimming and diving team from International Falls down in Hibbing for an invitational. The swimming's been going on for the diving's been going on for about an hour. The swimming gets started at 1 o'clock. The LBF Vikings volleyball team down in Crosby, their first match of the day against Fergus Falls starts at 10 a.m. What's coming up over the rest of this week locally? Of course, Sunday, no action going on. Monday, a rare off day locally. No sports going on locally on Monday. Tuesday, things wrap back up as the swimming and diving team, the girls are at Virginia for a 4:30 meet. The Bronco volleyball team is over in Lake of the Woods for a 7:30 matchup. I believe that's what I got off the website. 7:30 match start, not 7 o'clock as normal here in International Falls. The Vikings volleyball team will be home as they host Hill City, and the cross-country runners will be down in Bagley for a 4 o'clock meet. Wednesday, the Rainy River volleyball team will be at home against Vermilion for a 6:30 match. On Thursday, the big volleyball matchup of the Northland here as the Broncos travel down to Little Fork to take on the Vikings. We'll have that match for you on K104 and RJBroadcasting.com, starting with the pregame at right around 6:40. Also on Thursday, the girls swimming and diving team will be at home against their rival, the Mesabi East Giants. On Friday, the Bronco football team heads to Dixon Barley Field as they will take on Greenway Nashwauk Keewatin in the 7 o'clock game. Of course, we'll be down there for the pregame at 6:40. The LBF football team will be over in Lake of the Woods for a game there that begins at 7 o'clock. The Fort Francis Lakers, they get their SIJHL season started next Friday night. They are at home against Thief River Falls at 7:30. The Rainy River volleyball team will be out in Thief River Falls to take on Northland for a 6:30 match. Next Saturday, the girls swimming and diving team will have a home meet at the Falls High Pool. The Vikings volleyball team, they'll be down in Virginia for an all-day tournament, so consecutive Saturdays, the LBF volleyball team participating in tournaments. The Lakers will return the trip. They play Thief River at home on Friday night. They'll be out in Thief River on Saturday for a 7 o'clock hockey game out there. The Rainy River volleyball team is in Thief River Friday night, then get in the van and drive all the way for a noon match in Brainerd. Just a tough schedule for the Voyagers next Saturday. And speaking of next Saturday, we're going to have a very special Coach's Corner as after the football game next Friday night, I'll be heading for the cities, and we will be doing Coach's Corner live from Target Field from the baseball press box next week. A little nice thing happening for me as we will be down there, and we're going to be there because the St. John's and St. Thomas football game is going on at Target Field, the first ever football game at Target Field where the Twins play. That game's going on next Saturday. We'll have Coach's Corner from there. We'll be joined by some former Broncos, and as soon as we know for sure who is all showing up, we'll make sure we let everybody know. Gunnar Anderson for sure, and I know Wyatt Ulrich will be joining me amongst a couple of others, and we'll see what happens next Saturday as we will have Coach's Corner live from Target Field next Saturday. That's going to wrap it up as we approach the 10 o'clock hour. Again, thanks to all my guests here this morning, the Bronco bowling team and the Bronco cross country teams. To everybody here at Hardy's, thanks for taking care of our guests so very, very well. Thanks to Chad back at the station, pushing all the buttons, getting us on the air. Thanks to our sponsors, but most of all, thank you for listening to Coach's Corner. Live from Hardy's on K104 and online at RJBroadcasting.com.